Tai Lopez is an entrepreneur who is an investor or an advisor in 20 different multi-million-dollar businesses. He went from being completely broke, working on a farm, and living among the Amish, to starting one of the world's largest book clubs and becoming a millionaire in the process. Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like 9 and 9. For my top 10, top 10, 9 and 9. This one's for my top 10.
Hey, it's Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more, and you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Tai Lopez, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Fix your bad mental habits.
Fix your bad mental habits. What they don't teach you in school is anything about habits. Yes, they make you memorize geography and what the capital of Montana is and the capital of Romania, but that doesn't translate into anything of practical value besides being good at geography maybe, which you could just Google nowadays. It's an outdated way of learning. What would help you is the proper mental habits. And one of those mental habits, what do the masses do when they see something new? They're always skeptical. I saw that. I put out a video where I started sharing stuff in 2015. It's been viewed about 300-400 million times, this set of videos I released. Most people were skeptical. Oh, ties, what is this? Is this a big scam? But a handful of people got it. 1 out of 100. And I don't like to say this because all the advertising compliance, but there's a stack of people who have become millionaires from those techniques. A stack of people have become gone from 0 to 6 figures. You should train for that. Just like, in school, remember they make you train, you gotta climb up the rope in PE, you gotta shoot a little basketball, they make you train with 9 times 9 is 81 and 6 times 6 is 36, all this training. What about the financial and mental training? What about the habit training to have the millionaire mindset? Nothing.
Rule number 2, make money online.
Okay, how do I make money online? People always ask me how I make money, and I thought I'd just show you some actual screenshots on my phone on different products, different businesses I have. Here's today, one of my companies here, $17,384 today alone. Made $715,000 in the last month. Selling simple household items. I like books. That's how much I sold in books. And I got another company, I like glasses. So we sell glasses, sleep glasses. I'll show you a little screenshot of that one. This is a Shopify. This month it sold $17,000. Today it's done $1,300. There's an airplane coming in. I'm gonna give you a tour. And I'm gonna share with you 4 simple steps that you can get started making money online today. Now, you're not gonna start out making $700,000 a month like I'm doing. It took me a while to build up, but I'm telling you, it's easier to start now than it's ever been, because when I got started, you didn't have Shopify. Amazon wasn't easy to sell on. You didn't have Stripe to collect credit card number, to collect and process payment. And I'm gonna show you the 4 ways to get started, if you want, within 24 hours making money online. Now, like I said, it's not a get-rich-quick scheme, but trust me, there's simple household items around your house. $700,000 in the last month I've sold of books and book-related things, educational stuff. More. This is just one business. You could sell, I know people selling candles, making 100 grand. I know guys selling candles, I think they're gonna make a couple $1 million. Everywhere you look. So step number 1 to making money online, find a household item that's interesting to you. That's step number 1. Find a simple household item that's related to what you do on a day-to-day basis. Like I said, I sold what did I sell in glasses? 1,300 today. And then this is just not showing Amazon. Amazon did about $3,000 or $4,000 a day, so about $5,000 a day. And I also do stuff related to sleeping well, because everybody's got a bed and got to sleep. Step number 2, decide if you want to sell using a website that you can build on Shopify, ClickFunnels, or you can just use Amazon. You need to decide between those 3. Step number 3, okay, you got to connect them, and you got to get a way to collect money. So you can either use Stripe, Braintree, or if you sell on Amazon, they have built-in, you can process through them. I don't recommend PayPal as your only source. Sometimes, depends. Step number 4, once you got those, is you need to white label the products. So you don't want to have to create, like if you want to sell glasses, or if you want to sell cosmetics, or if you want to sell tables, you don't want to actually manufacture them, at least not to start. So there's a simple way that you can use what's called white labeling or drop shipping to take products that people have and put your own label and brand on it. With that said, you can be up and going with those 4 steps. Literally, if you start early enough today, you can do it today. Be up and running. Now, like I said, you gotta get sales, but that comes if you know how to do it. Amazon literally has, I forget how many sales a day, 80 million sales a day, different items sold. So if you can do well in the Amazon ecosystem, people will find you, especially if you know how to rank there. You know, for some of you, you might be intimidated by trying to make, you know, $715,000 a day. By the way, we've been making money while we were on this walk. While we were on this walk, made a couple $100 in the last couple of minutes. That's the beauty, by the way, of selling online. I call it robotic income. Like, robot never gets tired. It just does the work. If you build a website correctly using Shopify or ClickFunnels or Amazon, they never get tired. Those servers run. As long as there's electricity, they're running. And one of the cool things, if you want to make 100 grand a year, a lot of people think it's hard to make 100 grand a year. It is if you have a 9-to-5 job, because you're only working 8 hours a day, but a robot never gets tired. Robotic income, there's no end. It can run 24 hours a day. Did you know to make $100,000 a year, pull out a calculator and do the math. Let me show you. $100,000 a year, okay? Right there. Divided by 365 days, because a website can work nonstop, is $273 a day, right? 100 divided by 365 days. Then how many days are there? Hours in a day? You only got to make $11.41 an hour. $11.41 an hour. You're making $100,000 a year.
Rule number 3, be curious.
I am a curious person that likes to try lots of stuff. And if I look back on my life, I think it's easy to lose objectivity when you try to figure out your own life. But if I look objectively at my life, just year to year, I'm kind of like a mad scientist. And so, you know, I've lived with the Amish for 2 years. I've been to 40 or 50 countries. I've been in finance. I worked for GE Capital, it's the biggest company in the world at the time. I've been an entrepreneur. I've lived in a mobile home. I've lived in Beverly Hills. And so for me, I think that I'm more interested in trying stuff than any one thing in and of itself.
Rule number 4, read books.
Your concept and idea behind reading a book a day. So expand on that. What is your concept? Why do you read a book a day? Because there's so many people that are like, oh, he reads a book a day. And it's like, when I heard you talk about it, I was like, oh, that's actually a genius way to look at it.
Right. We'll put it this way. Rich people read. Everything else is bullshit. Mark my words. I interview a lot of badasses come through my house. And I ask all of them. And without, like Marky was just here, we were playing basketball. He reads 2 hours a day. He didn't talk about it that much. Warren Buffett reads 800 pages a day. Do the math on that. I'm way behind with my lame book a day stuff. He's been doing 800 pages a day since he started Berkshire Hathaway in the 1960s. And it made him $70 billion, and it made him happy, and he does what he loves. Will Smith, I got to hang out with. I posted a little thing, and my favorite quote of Will Smith's said to be badass, you have to do 2 things. 1, you have to run. The second, you have to read. You run because when you run long enough, your lungs feel like they're going to explode. And if you can push through that and keep running, you'll be able to push through any obstacle. And the reason he said reading, he said because a lot of smart people have gone ahead of you and they've already been through whatever problems you're experiencing. So instead of learning from your own mistakes, you can learn from theirs. That's what Warren Buffett says. He says, it's true that you only learn from mistakes, but they don't have to be yours. That's the biggest flaw that I see people, or biggest mistake I see people making, whether they're entrepreneurs or just employees or single moms or whatever you might be, if you try to do the learning curve all with your own experience, you will run out of life. You'll be 140 before you have a lot of money. You'll be 140 before you figure out how to read people, keep the good ones, get rid of the bad ones. You'll be 140 before you figure out how to diet. I'm not even diet, how to stay fit, man. Most people, they become fit when it's too late. I live here in Beverly Hills. There's a lot of 90-year-old dudes rolling around in Ferraris. And I always said, I don't want to be a 90. By the time you're 90, you don't care about Ferraris. 90, you should be hanging out with your grandkids, Yeah. You're going to like a Ferrari when you're 20, 30, or 40. But the learning pattern curve that most people are on, it's just, the curve is so long out there that I'm like, bro, I always say the biggest curse, if you had an enemy and you wanted to curse them, okay? And let's exclude health curses or death, okay? Assuming you couldn't do those. I know the best curse ever. I would just say, everything you try to do will take you 9 times longer than it should. This is like hell on earth for me. Somebody goes, I'm going to start a business. Well, average person can make this successful in 3 years. You're going to do it 9 times slower. So 27 years from now, you'll have a successful business.
Nobody would do it.
Yeah, it's and then what would be the best blessing if you have kids or friends, or even we want to give a blessing to yourself? Best blessing you could ever say is everything you put your hand to, you'll be 9 times faster. Because I play chess. You can see my little chess thing over there. Twice a week, one of the top chess players in the world comes here, and I play against them, train against them, and life is like speed chess, not regular chess. In regular chess, you can take a long time for a move, but in real life, just think about Netflix. I always think about Netflix. It's one of the most powerful businesses ever built, at least right now, in terms of how many people use Netflix. You have, I forget what it is, 40, 50 million people paying them $10, $20 a month, or $10, $15 a month. It's a crazy business. And it's very simple. And anybody could have done it. If you're watching this and you're over 20, you or someone around you, your parents, could have come up with that idea. It's not a genius. You go, would you rather have to go get movies at a store like Blockbuster used to be, or you want them delivered to you either by mail or streaming right in your phone? I mean, it's a no-brainer. And what Reed Hastings did, the founder of Netflix, was he was faster than other people. Somebody else would have come up with it. Mark Zuckerberg was faster to build Facebook. If Mark Zuckerberg lived in a vacuum and the world all revolved around him, he could have taken another 10 years and no one else would have built one. But he realized someone else is going to beat me to this. So you have to be quick. And if you don't read, I love it because I'll always beat you. That's what I say to people. I don't mean that in a cocky way. I'm just do the math.
Also, if you want to have more self-love, check out my 254 series, where every day for the next 254 days, I'll send you a free video to your email to move your self-love forward. The link to sign up is in the description below.
Becoming a learning machine and a person who invests in themselves works.
Rule number 5, search for happiness.
What makes you think, okay, I'm going to get up today and I'm going to go do some work? What gives you that sense of meaning?
So now we're going to the deepest question. I'll give you, I do a lot of book stuff. I'll give you what I think is the greatest answer to this question, and maybe the greatest book that nobody reads. There's a book called Civilization and Its Discontents by Sigmund Freud. And Sigmund Freud's been discredited in some ways, but the man may be the smartest person you'll ever read if you read Civilization and Its Discontents. And he says this question of what the meaning of life is has been asked time without end. And nobody can give a satisfactory answer. And he says maybe because there is no answer. But he says, I can tell you by the actions of we humans what our meaning is, and that is to be happy and to avoid pain. So it depends how deep you want to go. I'm probably searching for happiness, and at the core of every human action of those 4 M's, people perceive, if I get money, I'll be happier. If I get freedom, I'll be happier. So I used to have a more complex answer, but now I give a cliche answer. I'm probably searching for happiness and avoidance of unhappiness. I don't know, it's a good question. Are we humans so differentiated that meaning is different for everybody? I don't know. I think Sigmund Freud might be right. Al Capone was seeking happiness in a distorted way, and I just read the book of El Chapo. This dude wanted to be happy. He did it, by selling meth and all this stuff. And people like the Amish are deeply religious people. Now the Amish, it's interesting you bring up depression. Jared Diamond, who wrote Guns, Germs, and Steel here at Harvard, Pulitzer Prize, he studied the Amish, and he said they have 500% lower depression, which is my experience. The Amish are the happiest people. And I think that the Amish are happy. I think they would disagree with Freud. So for the Amish, life is a religious, spiritual. They're Christians, just very they're Christians how Christians used to be in the 1800s. The Amish are actually not as weird as people think. They just froze in time.
They used to have Sabbath 7 days a week, basically.
Yeah, there you go.
With some work. It's like a Jewish Sabbath with some work, yeah.
So maybe so my humanistic answer is I'm seeking to be happy, but the Amish their thing is like there's going to be another life after death. And so that's their meaning. So they don't take themselves maybe as seriously on planet Earth. So I would say I'm not as religious as the Amish, but that's a good answer too.
Rule number 6, don't be delusional.
I remember when I was about 20, I read an article. And this is somewhat related to this book that I know you're working on the masks that people wear. So these scientists in National Geographic said, in India, you have massive disparities between the poor and the rich. I mean, you're talking people who make $8 a month and people who are billionaires. We have that somewhat in America, but you don't have anybody in America they have 40 million starving to death people in India. And they said, how does that happen? Like, how do those people who live near a billionaire not just go knock the door down and take food? And they said, our brain has developed mechanisms of coping with other people's success. And I've seen it in my own brain when I see people more successful than me. I can't remember, I wish I could find the article, but I was, like I said, when I was like 20. One of the reactions is people think that the person got lucky. This is one common reaction. The other one is that the person inherited it. The other one is that they stole it. And I forget what the fourth one, and only the fifth one is thinking, wow, that maybe that person has something I can learn from. That's how they got successful. So only about 20% of the population, in my mind, doesn't suffer from delusion. And you were telling me on how men have masks, and I think we all have that. I've always called it delusion.
Okay.
And I think there's a lot of delusion about anybody who gets a lot of following, like the Kardashians. I remember, I was at the Laker game a couple years ago, and when they were hated.
Yeah.
And Justin Bieber too. He had the most disliked video, and people hated them, and now they are loved. But they're the same people. So this delusional kind of perception is what messes us up. And I think if you can really see clearly, and this is maybe why I'm a mad scientist, I want to see clearly. I've heard people say, money doesn't make you happy. So I lived with the Amish for 2.5 years.
Rule number 7, train.
When you meet somebody who goes, hey, I suck at basketball, or hey, I'm fat, and you say to them, do you train? You already know the answer. No. If you don't train your body, if you don't train your diet, if you don't train at basketball, you won't get it. There's never been somebody who magically walked on a basketball court, never picked up a basketball, grabs it, and starts hitting three-pointers like Steph Curry. It just doesn't happen. Yet that's how people perceive their success. And there's a lot of stuff out there that is leading people, not necessarily misleading on purpose, but it's the wrong track. The book The Secret, it's a great book. I'm not anti-secret, but it's not really the right track. The right track, the secret is what I just told you. Train. If you just positively chant to yourself, I'm great at basketball, I will always be good at basketball, you ain't going to become good at basketball. If you look at your stomach and go, I will have a six-pack, it never changes based on, now it's okay, you need positive affirmations for other reasons, for motivation and stuff, but the superseding factor, the one that trumps all, the hand that trumps all cards, the royal flush or whatever, is training. And people really struggle with that. They go, why do you read? Well, that's how you train your brain. Why do you play chess? That's how you train your brain. Why do you do public speaking? Well, then you train your mind to be able to think in the moment, quickly, be witty, whatever you have to do. And so whatever you want, I can pretty much predict whether you'll get it or not by you just texting me, here's how much I train.
Rule number 8, learn how to read people.
I like psychology because one of the biggest things they didn't teach us in school that they should have is how to read people. Because almost every trial, tribulation, traumatic event you have in life, it's not from an inanimate object. Most people don't look back in their life and be like, you know what sucked in my life? I stubbed my toe, I broke my foot on a rock falling. Like most people's thing is like, I married the wrong. They say the 3 biggest regrets of people: who they married, the career they chose, and the education they had. Like 80% of people regret those 3. And to the extent you regret only one of them, you'll be happier than people who regret 2 of them. Most people regret all 3. And the reason you regret all 3, especially career and who you marry, is no one teaches you how to read people. Most important thing that could happen in school is learn how to read people. All the good things and all the bad things will come from filtering out the bad people before they get in your social circle and bringing in the good people. I think of it like, you know those hamster balls? You put a little hamster in a plastic ball and you roll them around. The reason you put them in a plastic ball, I didn't know as a little kid, I thought it was supposed to be fun. And then I had a friend who had a hamster and didn't put it in a ball, and he stepped on it one time. And I realized, wait a second, the plastic ball is to keep the hamster from dying. We're the hamster. And so you need to have a thick plastic ball around your life, because if the wrong people get inside that, you will have, again, if I wanted to curse my enemy, I'm like, may horrible people befriend you, become your business partners, because each of them will cause a self-destruction in your life. And no one talks about how to read people.
Rule number 9, become a learning machine.
My philosophy is learn from everybody. Like you never, especially now.
Right.
You trust me. If sometimes people are like, oh, Tai, you're good. I'm like, trust me. Nobody is that good themselves. And I know that sounds cliche, like I'm trying to be humble. I'm not being self-deprecating. I'm telling you the truth. Like the game now is complicated.
Yep.
And if you don't learn from a ton of people, you will get smoked. And that's why I have a big thing about mentors. And not everybody in the entrepreneur thing follows my philosophy, but I'm telling you this, become a learning machine. That's what Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett say. Abraham Lincoln said he learned from everybody he met, even sometimes if it's what not to do.
Amen.
So sometimes people don't like my stuff. I'm like, well, then learn what not to do from me.
Exactly.
You know, I love the Kardashians, not so much because some people don't like the Kardashians and they had a sex tape in this, but I'm like, people lie, but numbers don't. Amen. She did 420 million.
It's crazy.
What can I reverse engineer and apply to my life? So if everybody's watching, I think maybe I hope to be remembered by this saying. Think of yourself like a gold miner, like they were in the California gold rush. And you go out and this one creek here, you go and dig, and if you find one gold nugget, you put that in your little pouch, and then the next day you search a different place. And if you every day just grab one nugget, it adds up to a lot of money.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is connect with nature.
100 years ago, when everybody lived, show them the farm all the way around here. Whoa. When everybody lived on a farm, you pretty much did what your parents did. And we look back at that and we think that's bad. And in some ways, I'm sure that made people unhappy. But it's kind of like 1 step forward, 2 steps backwards. We got a lot of choice now in the modern world. We live in big cities. You go to a city, any night of the day, there's 50 things to do. There's 50 jobs to choose. There's 50 people to date. There's 50 people to make friends with. People basically go crazy. So one of the things that I do now to get over this paradox of choice is I come and I got this ranch and I just get away from the city. I get into a routine, simple things. People ask what life's purpose is, and it depends who you ask. A lot of people will say legacy is one common answer, but legacy fades. All flesh is grass, the saying is. The flowers fade. Do you remember who your great-great-great-great-grandfather is? No. And even if you look at your DNA, it gets split in half. So your great-great-great-great-grandchildren are hardly related to you. You might be more related to your neighbor than you are to your great-great-great-great-great-great-grandchild. So legacy is an okay answer. It's obvious. It's an obvious answer that makes sense. Family, things like that. Other people say, maximizing what you have. That's a decent answer. Other people say leaving the earth better than you found it. All these things, but I think that the answer sometimes is simpler than that. Like I said, the Native Americans lived here before all the settlers came. They used to just say, what is man without the beast? What are humans without animals? And I think being connected to the land, animals, nature, the natural cycles, winter, spring, summer, fall, this is your purpose, And that's hard to say because 90% of people live in big cities. But the world could change. The demographics should change. If people are asking me what would make them happier, I'm not saying this is an easy answer for society. I'm just saying this is one answer that I've tested it on a lot of people from the city. If you have high anxiety, which is 30 to 40% of planet Earth, you're overstimulated. You got to get to where, like when I'm here on the ranch, I'm not overstimulated. It's simple. Milk the cow in the morning, feed the horses, put straw down, plow, plant. You get strong. You don't have to work on a farm. Your hands get dirty, and you don't really think like what the purpose of life is.
Now I've got a really special bonus clip that I think you're gonna enjoy, but before that, if you're still here watching, I wanna celebrate you. If you commit to taking action after watching this video, we don't just watch videos, we do something about it. Give me a hashtag believe down in the comments as well.
A mistake is also finding one mentor because then it becomes cult-like. You don't want the cult-like. You want a cabinet around you of wise advisors. And an old proverb is make war with a multitude of counselors. And that's kind of been my approach. And so the other day I was working on this real estate deal. It was a mobile home park I was thinking of buying. I actually grew up in a mobile home in my teenage years. And I was like, maybe I should buy a mobile home park just to be like the true American rags to riches. Like I lived in it and then I ended up owning it. But I have a mentor who made over $1 billion in that space in real estate. And I was going to buy this place. It was in Indiana. I flew out there. And then I was like, I was at Veggie Grill by Trader Joe's on Sunset. I called him up. His name's Richard. I said, Richard, should I get this place? And he goes, I'm really busy. I don't have time to talk. I said, can you just 30 seconds? He goes, okay, tell me the deal details. Told him the high level details. He got so into the subject, it was 1 hour on the phone. And he just laid out exactly what to look for, what not to look for. And I was thinking, this guy's 70 years old. He just gave me accumulated knowledge of 50 years. I just saved 50 years in 1 hour. That's a mentor.
If you want to see the top 10 I did on Gary Vaynerchuk, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
I talk a lot about not hearing the boos. I don't give a f what you think, but it goes both ways. I also don't hear the accolades. If you actually pressured yourself to be happy,